Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. Due to popular demand, we are playing around with Clang Drive once again. Not really, I'm just very intrigued by it. So let's just get started. Alright, so Surviving Pertam the Wastelands will be back on either Sunday or next week Thursday, haven't decided yet. But today I really want to play around with the Clang Drive once again. Just to either summon Clang for whatever reason and just to play around with it to see what we can do with this with wheels this time. As we did last time with the Hovercraft, and we try to do Clang with wheel momentum or turn them into wheels, but let's just do it without the wheels as some of you have suggested, which is a really good idea. So first off is the Hovercraft that I have here. So the Hovercraft originally looks like this. So this is the original Hovercraft that I built with the forward hover engine and the backwards hover engine and the bottom ones to make that Clang Drive go forward. But of course I didn't try it with the wheels, so let's just try it this time. So basically I took this guy here, converted to this guy where you see the back piece is still the same, got rid of the gyros and put it in the front, and I got rid of all the other hover engines because they're not necessary. And I try to balance it out in the front here. So without this, it actually leans backwards a little bit. So it would actually look a lot like this, basically, the whole time because of the weight. So I got to redistribute the weight a little bit better. But I just decided to put heavier blocks in the front so that way it works out pretty well. So initially playing around with it, to be honest, I was very intrigued by it. I've been messing around with it some more. So basically, if we were to get in here and play with the default system, which is like 1.5, altitude minimum, and leaving everything else, and only change align to gravity to apply force to center, we achieve pretty decent Clang Drive or Clang momentum going forward, but it's so uncontrollable. So I'll give you guys an example of that by doing this. So we're gonna pick up a lot of speed. Look at 106 meters per second, but I can't really control this too well. As you see here, I can't really move left and right too well, and it's just going crazy. And honestly, I could fly this guy if I wanted to. If I could move it, pitch it upwards, I'm like flying upwards in this sense, and it just get the sense like I feel like I'm Aladdin and flying in this magic carpet like this. So I guess I can show you all this world, if anything. But yeah, it's interesting. It works out. You know, again, it's just you can't really maneuver with it too well. But at least you achieve past the 100 meters per second speed. Alright, so I played around with it some more and decided to change the hover engine's altitude minimum. And this kind of achieves a different push. So I tried 0.1, which honestly doesn't do anything, but with Clang involved, you never know if it will or won't do anything. So let's just give it a shot again. So pressing it multiple times, nope. Okay, so 1 definitely didn't do anything. I did 0.2 as well, and that didn't do anything. So we're gonna have to do 0.3 is the next thing I did, and actually did work, but we didn't try 0.25, so that might help it a little bit, but we'll see. So it looks like it's not doing anything. Okay, so I guess ideally it is 0.3, and I think that's gonna give us some momentum, as you see here. So we gained some speed, and it's a little bit more controllable, but it does still get to that 106 meters per second as well. But in this case, I actually feel like I could turn with it a little bit better. I don't know why, but not really. To be honest, it's slightly better in terms of in terms of maneuvering it. But once you hit that 106 speed, it's a lot more difficult to maneuver. But hey, it still kind of worked in a way, but you still end up not being able to control it too well. So I was hoping to get some kind of Clang Drive, or yeah, some Clang Drive, so that we can actually manipulate it so that we can go at a certain speed, not too fast, and potentially control it. So in that case, maybe I should have stopped the clang piece in the back, the hinge piece in the back, and that would probably have worked out a little bit better that way. So as an example, whoop, that just kind of hit the ground a bit. So as an example, if we were to do the same thing, change this altitude to 0.3 again. Maybe 0.28 might even work, who knows. I guess we can just try it. 0.28, let's see if it goes. And it kind of does go, and it's probably going to pick up speed very slowly. And I guess to control this, what we can do is stop it from doing the clang. No, yeah, I can't really control it. It's a little too crazy. So we can hit the timer block to make the momentum go a little fast, and then we can slow it down by stopping it. I guess that's the only way to really control it, but it's a little much, to be honest. So you have to keep hitting the timer blocks I have on here, 3 and 4, just to get it rolling like that. But this thing does pick up speed once it's on its full power and potential right there, 106. I can stop it and let it glide, I guess. But again, it's very, very hard to control, as you see here. So that is definitely not ideal, but it's a fun little experiment to play around with. And I mean, it's kind of doable, just not the best thing in the world. Alright, so the next thing is the store mechanism, or the store clang. I have a whole bunch of these set up as well. This one I tried to turn into a wheel when it was not necessary. I could have just put it on the rover, as most of you had commented down below, and see if it pushes the momentum going forward. So I tried it in both directions. So having it pistoned this way give us forward momentum. If I do it the other way, it gives us backwards momentum for whatever reason. So I did put in the rear, so we can kind of see what it does. So we hit reverse, and maybe I'll change the camera. I'm gonna reverse the piston and let's see what it does. So in 3, 2, 1, reverse. Boom. Alright, so that was a bit much. I don't know what happened to the camera. It should have stayed here, but it didn't. So that thing just drove right into the ground, as you see here. So it did give us a little bit of momentum forward, and then it just immediately just drove it downwards for whatever reason. So let's try it a little bit differently. So let's just grab this guy here, which is a little more closer to the middle. So maybe that would make a difference. I don't know. So let's just find out. Alright, so we have a camera here, and we're gonna do a reverse onto our toolbar. So in 3, 2, 1, go. Reverse. So whoop. So that's what happened probably before as well. So it just clanged out, broke the piston. So it flipped forward for whatever reasons, and it flipped forward a lot quicker than this one. But this one moved a lot faster in that sense. It blew up a lot more things. So that didn't achieve much at all. So why not ramp it up and combine the two for no apparent reason? So let's just give that a shot. So we're going to put this in the front. Let's just set this up. I think we have to group the pistons together. Put in our toolbar. Reverse. So it's exactly the same time. And let's just see how this works. So they're both going the same direction forward. So it's not going to be anything too crazy here. Hopefully. It might spin out a lot quicker. Maybe it'll balance out. We don't know. So we'll do this in 3, 2, 1. Whoop. Jeez, I don't know why it changes the camera so quickly like that. But as you see here, it just face planted onto the ground really, really quickly. Not the best thing in the world. So let's see if I can pull up another one. Alright, so I had to reload because I didn't save any of these rovers. So I just reloaded, set it up. And this time I'm going to do a little bit different with the camera angles. So we don't just kind of like change the angle once we hit the floor. So we're going to try that one more time just to see what it looks like. So in 3, 2, 1, reverse. Wow. So with 2, basically drives you down to the ground for whatever reasons, and really, really throws you down there. So looks like my seat was still safe, but it just destroyed the whole thing. So it didn't go far at all, and it decided to just bash itself to the ground like it's trying to dig down. So the next thing what I want to do is very similar to the one just before, but this one is actually going to go against each other in a way. So in the rear, it's going to face the forward momentum, and in the front, it's going to face the backwards momentum. If you can even call it forward and backwards momentum, because it's whatever it's doing, it's just like angling it down or making circular motions, to be honest. So we are going to try this one and see what happens. And honestly, I'm very curious to see what this does, as I'm not sure at all. I suspect there's going to be some Clang circular motion as well, but I kind of feel like it might not do that too. So we're going to find out once I set these things up here. And we want it to hit at the same time, so everything's going to be left at default. So now we are going to see what it's going to do from here. So let's just get a good angle here. Alright, so we're going to hit this in 3, 2, 1, reverse. And whoop. Interesting. So it did fight itself for a second, and then it decided to go one direction only, and that was backwards. So that was very interesting. I was hoping it kind of stalls like it did in the very beginning of it, and not like go anywhere, but apparently it did. So the door Clang drive doesn't really work that well in terms of getting full momentum. It does make for a good circular momentum, which that's kind of why I started doing them with the wheels. And then of course we'll just ramp it up a little bit. Some more of a common Clang is a piston like this with some blocks being blocked here. That kind of makes sense. So I experimented with this a little bit to kind of see if we can get that forward momentum with this piston. And unfortunately it doesn't do too much forward momentum. As you see here, I piled it up with batteries just to weigh it down a little bit. But what it currently does is pretty much face plants it downwards, the same thing as with doors for whatever reasons. So for an example, let me copy this really quick. So for an example, we hit this piston here, and what's going to happen is basically, oh, looks like nothing happened. That's interesting. What it did before, let's just move those batteries. So we're going to hit this here, and it should start moving or flipping. There you go. So it has a interesting flipping motion to it, and that's going to be a little dizzying. So that kind of Clang causes, again, circular motions. It doesn't push forward too much. So I guess what we can try with that instead then is to lower the piston speed a lot more. So instead of 0.5, what if we did like 0.1, right? So if we did 0.1 and have to slowly get to its point, will it give us that forward momentum that we need? Or is it still going to do that circular Clang motion? It wasn't really circular, it's just kind of everywhere, to be honest. But it looks like it's trying to inside. So the weight did kind of help a little bit. So, oh, it's starting to move. So without me sitting on there, because I have a lot of parts, probably makes it heavier. Let's get rid of that, and look, it's just making some weird, funky dance moves here. So that's an interesting Clang to have, but it's not our forward momentum Clang drive that we wanted. So that does some weird up and down, left, rights, every kind of motion. So I was like, hey, why not do the same kind of thing, but with a more vertical version of it? So basically leaving everything by default, pressing this down, guess what happens? Pretty much exactly the same thing. Except for this one's actually more of a rotational Clang instead of a, you know, wobbly. Oh, it's actually getting wobbly now anyway, so it makes no difference. So Clang drive, at least on a gravity planet like Earth, it doesn't really work because of the gravity, I guess. So it does multiple kind of like rotational momentum, but I would be interested in trying this out in space with no gravity. That might help it, and I don't know what's gonna happen, to be honest, in space. Like what direction you're gonna go, and if you can't even control it. I would be interested in trying it, but if you guys are interested as well, let me know down below, and maybe I'll release it on Sunday after we test it up in space. But if not, if there's not much interest in it, I wouldn't worry too much. I'll probably work on the surviving Pertam, the wastelands, and eventually get to it at that point. But I do have a lot of different experience that I want to try still, so of course I'm gonna give those a shot and share it with you guys as well. Alright, so this experiment was very interesting. It didn't do as what I thought it would do, but it did kind of give us an idea for maybe a space test. But this was a lot of fun to make and a lot of fun to do because of the unexpectedness of Clang, and hopefully I didn't upset Clang too much. But you know, I've always built things and done things that always involved Clang anyway, so I thought maybe I could make it a positive spin on it and create these Clang drives, but it doesn't really work out too well. Alright, as always, if you made it to the end of this video, hit that thumbs up, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. We always appreciate your comments, so please drop one down below. And of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.